Note taking. Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending our volunteer training for our Texas A&M University San Antonio session that we'll have. And just a reminder for those who have kind of forgotten since we sent out the email, this is going to be Ignite MindShift's biggest day, single day of impact, where we're going to impact over 1,000 incoming freshmen at freshman orientation. And what we're going to be doing is teaching our money mindset specific topic. It's not our full topic. This is kind of a quick 45 to 50-minute version. We've actually done this quite a bit in the past. We've had days of up to 600 students at a time. That's typically been high school students. So this will be the first time we're actually doing this for incoming college freshmen. I'm expecting this, honestly, to be one of the best days in your professional career. I'm not even joking. Karen and I had a session in Waco at Midway High for 600 students back in April. I can't even tell you how quickly the students get engaged. And this was high school students, so we're going to be dealing with incoming college freshmen. So I have no doubt that they are going to be excited about the information. A lot of times, students that come in, as you can expect, a lot of the students at Texas A&M San Antonio are first-generation college students. A lot of students, regardless of their background, have stress about money, have stress about budgeting, don't really understand it. A lot of people are coming in with, as we all are, right, kind of biases about math. And so our goal for this session is to start college students off on the right path with a money mindset, being excited, not being scared anymore about budgeting. We're going to go through like a 10-minute budgeting activity that's very high level with them that y'all will coordinate in the classroom. And it's really just to make it fun and show them that it's not scary, that they can just put things down on paper and schedule it. Now it's up to them to actually go through. That's the hard part, right? Go through and actually fulfill that. But our main goals are make money exciting and not scary, and give them enough information to go forward with. Fred, who's on the call, is my company co-founder. He created some amazing AI prompts. We've got some amazing additional resources that I'll show you how they're going to access those. So we're just getting them excited, giving them enough to go off of, and then kind of launching them off into college so that they're prepped and have the right money mindset. So that's our goal for the session. And then I'm going to show you really quickly. And again, for those who just joined, I'm kind of going through this fast so that we can get the recording as short as possible. We'll stop it after about 15 minutes or so and go through questions. So apologies for the auctioneer mode. But for the actual session, let me go ahead and pull up the deck. So in your classroom, we'll have 5 different classrooms. You'll be assigned a classroom, and we'll get you that information in a bit. But most of the classrooms will sort of be side by side. Karen and I will be mostly serving as coordinators for that day. So we'll be going around with clipboards and all sorts of things, making sure that everyone's computers are set up, making sure that you've got your slide clickers, and that this is presenting. So basically, when you're in your classroom, this is what will happen at the beginning. As students are coming in, we're asking them to scan this code from their phone for attendance. The reason that we're doing this is specifically so that they can earn a digital badge for the session. Digital badges are actually something that are pretty popular in the San Antonio area, especially at college. So we'll give them a little bit more information about what those digital badges are, and we'll give them instructions at the end on how to actually take those digital badges, create a LinkedIn account, and put those on, and hopefully start to connect with some of y'all, honestly, start their network. So that's what will happen in the beginning of the session. And I have a one-page checklist that will be in the classroom. It's literally numbered. So you'll see at the beginning, I'll show it to you. Number 1 is have the student scan the QR code. And then and you'll have this kind of box of materials, and each of those will be numbered. So we're going to make it easy. So number 1, have them scan the QR code on the screen. If they don't have their phone, they can write it there. So that'll be number 1. And then we'll go from there. And as they're sitting there, they can start filling out a check. We don't write a lot of checks these days, but what's funny about foundations and donors and people, the first question they're going to ask students when they say that they had a financial literacy or money mindset session is, Did you learn how to write a check? So while they're waiting, we're just going to give them a check and some pens. So that'll be number two and three on your list so that they can kind of write it out while we're all collecting and waiting, gives them something to do with their hands, right? Instead of being on their phone. And so then we'll just get into the presentation. We'll start talking about the goals for the session, the high level. Keep in mind, this is going to be fast paced. Some of these you're going to just kind of gloss over. So I will send out these materials as a PDF so that y'all can get familiar with them and hit what makes sense. You don't have to drain these slides word by word. One of the important things to note is that there's a lot of financial literacy sessions out there. One of the things that we pride ourselves that Fred has done a really good job through all of our materials, but especially money mindset, is starting with beliefs about money. Because if we don't address those, people are kind of going to be resistant to the material. So we talk about how you could have a mindset of just needing enough money to pay the bills and how we want to change that into a more positive mindset about how investing in yourself first. Or a lot of times, and especially with college students, right? I really want this now and I can just pay off my credit card in the next few years. We're going to release that mindset and we're going to say, I don't have to buy everything. And as you go through these, if you have personal examples, like I was a first generation college student, I just didn't spend money in college. I did not buy new clothes. I was as cheap as possible. Fred, who's also on the call, he has some great samples that he tells the student about. I got married in college and we put a diamond ring on our credit cards and we came out with credit card debt, and we don't want that for you. So definitely, as you go through some of these limiting beliefs, feel free to share your own stories as well. And I'm going to kind of go through these quickly. I'm not going to drain slide by slide, but we go through when you talk about budgeting, burning less than you earn, needs versus wants. A lot of students understand this. So this is just a reminder. You got to focus on your needs, especially in college. You can kind of focus on some of your wants later. We talk about things like the latte factor being like, hey, there's something that's $5 a day that really you probably don't need. Could you give that up, especially while you're in college making low money, and how do you invest that? And the biggest thing that we have to spend a lot of time on, so we've got 10 minutes for this, is this budgeting activity. And so again, this is going to be numbered in your chart, and y'all will all have kind of an answer key for this. But we'll pass out per group this kind of sheet that talks about, and I'll send out these materials so you can see them actually live. The student groups will have a choice to do for each category. So like category 1 is housing. For that, they'll either get to pick the high dollar luxury apartment for $1,600 a month, the medium kind of spend, the modest apartment for $1,200 a month, or the frugal spends $800 for the shared apartment. And so each one of these categories for the budget, they'll really just be kind of circling the dollar amount and then writing that on the spreadsheet at the end and totaling it all up, and they've got $4,000 to spend. And so you'll just kind of help them go through, and basically kind of the easiest thing is the middle option is pretty much going to get them close to that $4,000. If they have a lot of the high options, you can imagine they're not going to make their budget. A lot of students are tempted to do a lot of the lower options, which is fine, and then kind of beef up their savings. So that's probably the right answer. And so you'll just kind of help them make sure that they balance their budget. And this is where a lot of the conversations happen. So you'll be circling the room with your co-presenter and helping the students as they're maybe not agreeing. And then, we go through a few other slides. We talk about compound interest and how that adds up. One of the most exciting things, we have these graphs that talk about how you can either, this person, Susan, kind of starts early investing and then she stops at 35. Maybe she has kids or just does something different. And then we've got Bill, who starts investing later. And then we've got Chris, who kind of starts investing early and invests all the way to 65, and how much the change in what they would earn for retirement. And then we have these duffel bags. We'll have duffel bags full of $1 million in your room, so you can start stacking those up. And again, there'll be a check sheet that tells you the order. It'll be like, go through these slides. At this point in the slides, you start stacking up the money. So it's a little one page. You'll see that when I send out the materials. And then after that, we want them again to be able to take these into the world. And so we've got this simple activity that's back on your journal page that I showed you a little bit ago. which is right here. And so at the bottom of this, they'll scan that QR code and they'll get to practice. If I save X dollars for X number of years at X% interest, we give them a scenario to walk through so they get the concept, but then they're free to take away the materials and play around with it. I don't know if anybody's a geek like me and practices this kind of stuff or practices mortgage interest and how you can save money, but I'm hoping that some of them will get excited about stuff like that, like I did in college. And then we just kind of walk through a simple formula. We talk about the difference between saving and investing, very high level. Some of this would probably not have time to get into detail. But if you do, it's just a quick explanation of what investing is and stock markets, index funds. And then we give them a bunch of kind of QR code handouts for additional materials at the end. Some of this just goes into more financial pitfalls and making sure that we enjoy the process. We summarize, have some of those AI prompts and additional resources. So you see, it's a fair amount of materials to get through. But again, a lot of it's available in these. If I can find my QR code, sorry, real quick. My QR codes, this is what all the students will have. There's 3 different codes. One's all the materials for the day. One's a LinkedIn and a digital badge so that they know what to do with the digital badges that they earned. And then we've also got those AI prompts that Fred created so that they could learn how to interact with the world. At the very end, we'll give them that, and then they'll get these grit stickers. We're all going to be wearing these grit t-shirts. So I'll make sure that we gather sizes for everyone. Yeah, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share there. Karen, anything else urgent that we need to get on the recording that I'm forgetting before we stop the recording?
That covers the main points.
Okay, awesome. If we can stop the recording.